Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you're all taking care of yourselves and having a gentle week. Today we are stepping into a courtroom that has become the epicenter of a decades-long battle for answers, dignity, and justice. For over 13 years, the families of the victims found along Ocean Parkway on Long Island lived in a state of perpetual, agonizing limbo. They were forced to look at a horizon of cold leads, bureaucratic dead ends, and a terrifying, nameless phantom known only to the world as the Gilgo Beach serial killer. But today, the waiting ends. We are diving deep into the raw, emotionally overwhelming sentencing hearing of Rex Heuermann. To the outside world, Heuermann was an ordinary, quiet family man. He was a 59-year-old architectural consultant who commuted daily from his cluttered, historic home in Massapequa Park Strait into the heart of Manhattan. He wore traditional suits, carried a briefcase, and spoke with clients about structural codes. But beneath that carefully constructed mask of suburban mediocrity lay a calculating predator who systematically targeted vulnerable young women, specifically Megan Waterman, Melissa Barthelemy, Lynn Costello, and Maureen Brainard Barnes, luring them into his domain before erasing their futures. As the doors to the Suffolk County Court building swung open on this fateful morning, the atmosphere inside was thick with a heavy, collective trauma. The gallery was packed to absolute capacity. Survivors, investigators who had dedicated their entire careers to the file, and the mothers, sisters, and children of the victims sat shoulder to shoulder, waiting to look into the eyes of the man who had stolen their peace. The true weight of a sentencing hearing doesn't live in the legal definitions or the reading of the charges. It lives in the raw, unfiltered truth of the victim impact statements. One by one, the people left behind stepped up to the wooden podium, just feet away from the defense table where Rex Heuermann sat slouched in a dark gray suit. Among the most heartbreaking moments came when Lynn Barthelemy, the mother of Melissa Barthelemy, took the stand. Her voice shook with a profound, scorching grief that completely silenced the gallery. She looked directly at Heuermann, her hands trembling as she spoke about the sadistic phone calls the killer had made to Melissa's teenage sister using the victim's own cell phone just days after she vanished. "You thought you threw them away like trash," Lynn cried out, her eyes locking onto the side of his face. "But they had names. They had families who loved them every single second." Throughout the hours of agonizing testimony, as families detailed the empty chairs at holidays, the children who grew up without mothers, and the psychological scars that will never heal, Rex Heuermann remained completely unmoving. He stared blankly at the dark wood of the table, his face a chilling, expressionless mask. He didn't flinch, he didn't lower his head in shame, and he didn't offer a single hint of human empathy. This cold, detached demeanor only intensified the righteous anger humming through the courtroom. Then came the moment that everyone in that room, and millions watching across the country, had been anticipating for months. The judge turned toward the defense table and officially asked if the defendant wished to make a statement before the final penalties were handed down. For the first time since his dramatic arrest at a Midtown Manhattan intersection, Rex Heuermann stood up, cleared his throat, and spoke into the live microphone. His voice was deeper than many expected, a low, gravelly drone that sent an immediate shiver through the audience. His shocking first words weren't an apology. They weren't a plea for mercy, nor were they an explanation of the darkness that drove him. Instead, Heuermann looked directly toward the bench and uttered a cold, mechanical phrase. "I accept responsibility for the architectural structural damage I have caused to the lives around me." The choice of words was profoundly disturbing. By using the language of his professional trade, viewing the destruction of human lives as mere structural damage to an architecture, he demonstrated a complete, unvarnished lack of remorse. It was a clinical, highly detached acknowledgement that left the families in the gallery gasping in disbelief. He spoke about himself, his loss of status, and his regrets over his current confinement, entirely bypassing the utter devastation he had unleashed upon his victims. But the true climax of the hearing arrived just moments later, during a chilling, unscripted exchange between Rex Heuermann and Suffolk County Supreme Court Justice Timothy Motzy. As Heuermann finished his statement and prepared to sit back down, Justice Motzy stopped him with a sharp, commanding tone that instantly froze the air in the room. The judge looked down from his elevated bench, his eyes boring into the killer. "Mr. Heuermann," the judge said, his voice echoing with absolute authority, "you speak of damage to structure. But you need to understand something before you leave this courtroom today. You're not a builder. You are a destroyer of universes." The courtroom went absolutely dead silent. You could have heard a pin drop on the carpeted floor. The judge continued, detailing how each of the young women he took had an entire universe of potential, love, and future generations inside them, all violently snuffed out for his own dark gratification. Justice Motzy then leaned forward and delivered the final, crushing blow. "The state of New York will ensure you spend every remaining breath inside a concrete box, completely forgotten by history, while the names of the women you tried to erase will be remembered forever." Heuermann's jaw tightened slightly, the very first visible sign of fracture in his cold exterior, before he was ordered to sit down. With the sentences officially handed down, multiple consecutive life terms without the absolute possibility of parole, Rex Heuermann was permanently led away in heavy restraints, destined to spend the rest of his biological life inside a maximum security facility. The legal chapter for the Gilgo 4 was officially closed. But as the crowds dispersed and the cameras were packed away, the true victory of that emotional day didn't belong to the prosecutors or the police. It belonged to the families. By standing in that room, by forcing a monster to hear their grief, and by preserving the names of Megan, Melissa, Amber, and Maureen, they ensured that the killer failed in his ultimate goal. He wanted to hide them away in the tall grass of Ocean Parkway, to turn them into nameless statistics. Instead, they became symbols of resilience, unity, and a community's relentless pursuit of justice. The story of Gilgo Beach is an incredibly dark reminder of the evil that can hide right in our neighborhood blocks. But it's also a powerful testament to the strength of the human spirit. The structure Rex Heuermann tried to build out of fear has completely collapsed, leaving behind only the enduring light of the lives he tried to steal. I want to know what you guys think about this powerful sentencing. Did the judge's words capture the justice these families deserved? Let's talk about it down in the comments. And please keep the discussion deeply respectful of the victims and their loved ones. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next deep dive. Bye.